I like the older ones.
I have to say, I like the skinny ones.
I like the thick, chunky ones.
I like sophisticated ones.
And I like the high-class ones. Yes. Today, I'm not talking about my weekend fetishes. I'm talking about the types of square styles of G-Shocks and the differences between them, so you can find the perfect fetish for all your moods. In front of me, I have 5 square Gs, the DW-5000c, the oldie GW-M5600, the skinny GXW-56, the chunky monkey GW-B5600, sophisticated, and last, I have the GMW-B5000, the classy. I was barely 13 when this was released in April 1983, and this was the very first G-Shock. It was called the DW-5000c, and why have I chosen this? Is because it has that history, it has that part where it takes you back to your past. Even though it doesn't have tough solar or multi-band 6, it still has all the basic functions that you need, including a little bit of a backlight, which is using a filament bulb. The only problem with this type of vintage G-Shock is actually finding a nice one in good working condition. And also there is the price side. You can expect to pay up to £500 plus for a really good example. Now, I was lucky to have this. This is quite a good example, I would say, even though the bezel isn't original, but the rest is. Now, it has a 10-year battery life, so really, what is the worry? You don't need to worry about keeping it charged, because it doesn't need that solar sunshine. There is another little bit of a downside, that it is only quartz and it doesn't support the multi-band 6, so every month it will be roughly about 15 seconds out. But this doesn't take long to adjust, and so what is this doing to your fetish? Next is the GW-M5600, and this one I'm calling the skinny because it's actually thinner than the original. I also like how they have kept this very much close to the original, apart from this includes tough solar. The size and dimensions are pretty much exact to the original. The only difference that it has this little bit of raised bezel going on with the protection and G-Shock at the bottom. Apart from that, you could very easily mistake it for the original. Now, this does have some more features because it features many world times, plus it has the snooze alarms and some other little features, including a really nice afterglow on the backlight. This G-Shock is probably one of the most practical. It's also one of the most affordable for all the features that you get. So for looking at new prices, about £90. Secondary prices, you're looking up to about £50, all depending on the condition, of course. For that price and with all the features, you don't mind using this as a proper work watch and getting it all covered in paint and muck. It really isn't going to hurt you that much. And because it's not bulky and it fits snug to your wrist, it means that it can be an everyday watch as well. And talking about fit, how about I introduce you to the next one? And this one is the Chunky Monkey. Now, the Chunky Monkey, nicknamed the King, was, when it was released, the thickest and the biggest G-Shock there was available. And comparing it to this one here, you can see the difference. It is massive. It is over the top, should you say. This has to be one of the toughest G-Shocks out there. The module is so deep inside all that bumpering and protection that it cannot get destroyed. It even includes a double layer of crystal. Now, if you have huge wrists like mine, then this King is perfect for you because it really does fill your wrist up. Whereas sometimes having a smaller G-Shock, it might just feel a little bit lost amongst your hairy arm. Now, looking at the size compared to the original, you can see it is really, really big indeed. But you have all that protection. It also has that mud resistant, the dust resistant because of the buttons and how they are sealed. Now, this is a JDM version, and the reason why is because it has multi-band 6. There is a more international version that doesn't feature the multi-band 6, which you can have these for around about sort of at the 120 mark. Now, if you're looking for the JDM with the multi-band 6, then be prepared to exceed around about 150 to 180 pounds. I do like the fact that they've kept it quite similar to the original square G-Shock. I do like that they've included some colour, especially on this version here. I like that there's a splash of red in the G-Shock there. Tough Solar is in red, and they've included the yellow or the gold on the bezel. Also like the tint of yellow on the actual display itself. If that's something for you and you want that slightly bigger square, then the King most certainly will be for you. Now, bringing it back down to normality, I have the GW-B5600, and this is the sophisticated one. I have done a full tutorial on this one here, so if you want to check that out, then please do so. But the reason why I went for the all black version is because I do sometimes feel like I'm Batman. No, it's not just that. But I do like that the fact that it is very stealthy indeed. The only little sort of negative about this is the negative display, whereas in some low light conditions you will require the backlight to be used. But if you're after that look, then you have to sort of compromise. So far, I'm finding this very user-friendly, and I do love the features on this because not only does it have multi-band 6, tough solar, it also has the Bluetooth side. This particular G-Shock sits on a resin bracelet, and it is so comfortable and so easy to put on and take off, and also you can really adjust those links to match it perfectly to your wrist. It also doesn't get as hot and sweaty as your regular resin silicone strap. This one here has a little bit of a price increasement, especially because it has the resin band. So you are looking around about sort of the 120 to 160 pounds on the new market. Now, is it worth it? I have to say completely yes, it is, because not only does it have all the features that I've just mentioned, it also has a reminder feature that you can set to a particular date and it will remind you. It comes up in the top of the window here and scrolls past, just so that you don't ever miss an appointment. It also has another cool feature, and this is world time. And as you can see, I have got watch up 69 scrolling past. Now, how did I do that in world time? Well, stay tuned and I will explain later. So if you're finding this one just a little bit too stealthy and a little bit too plasticky, then maybe you should consider Classy. Before I go any further, I'd just like to add that Watch Geek did do a review on both of these watches. So to save me going through it all again, you can just hop over to his channel and check out that review, because mine is just about comparing all 5 of these together. So it gives you a good understanding of what to expect between the cost of each one of these square Gs. On a price point, these are about the same price. You're looking around about £500. Now, is it worth it? Well, I have to say that the vintage G-Shock, you really don't have much choice. If you want a good example, then you have to pay the money. And these are only going to go up in value. Whereas these are current and they are a little bit more mass produced at the time. But for £500, is it worth it? For me, I would class this as more at £400. I think that's more of a realistic deal. Are you getting your value for £400? Yes, is definitely the answer. Classy is using the same module as sophisticated, so I don't need to explain that it has all that Bluetooth loveliness inside. What I will point out is that display, that positive display. It is absolutely incredible to view, especially in the hand. I've also noticed that it hardly has any LCD flickering, and you can catch it at any angle and still read all the digits and numbers. Compared to the original 5000, I like that they've actually used the brickwork around there, and you've got the solar panel hidden. Let's have a little bit of a side-by-side comparison, especially on the thickness. They both use screw-down case backs, because on this version, this full stainless steel, it is using a metal case, so it's matching to the original. The only difference is that this is full stainless steel bezel and bracelet. And this is where the cost really starts to justify for this piece, especially when you start off with the bezel, with the brushing on the top there, and on the sides it's all highly polished. I like that this version has the bigger buttons. Putting it next to the other one, you can see there is a huge difference, so it makes it very user friendly when you're using it manually. The bracelet is solid thick, and I'm spitting with excitement. And then opening the clasp, you can see more attention to detail. It's just not a thin piece of printed bit of metal. It is properly made. And also I like to add that the links are very easy to adjust, and there's plenty of it for even a 10-inch wrist, I should imagine, because this, from a 7.5-inch wrist, this is how much I got left over. And this is also what's holding them together. They have these little spring bars, so each one can be adjusted just by pushing through there. Very easy to adjust. And on the back it has the G-Shock, of course, to let you know what you're wearing when you're hanging upside down, I guess. So this one is something I really do like. Now, am I going to keep this? I'm not sure, because it is so classy and I'm so reckless with my G-Shocks, so it would be a shame to actually get this beaten up. But I've seen some pictures of actually people wearing these properly daily, and I have to say they don't look that bad. They do have the odd little scuff here and there, but actually they really do last well, especially because of all that polishing. You would think that it would get destroyed easy. It is a fingerprint magnet, just to add, so make sure that you really do have clean fingers when handling this. And as you know from my videos, I don't really wear the gloves. I actually like to have the hands on and really get to it to that side. But hey, this is one classy watch. Do I recommend it? If you could push the boat out, maybe find one on the secondary market, sort of maybe around about the 300, 350 mark, then I would definitely say go for it, especially because of that really legible display. So let me explain this feature here on the World Time and how I managed to get Watch Up 69 in there. So looking on the B5000, I have a little marker here which is just flashing on the date here, a little flasher. This is to remind me that there is a reminder. Now you can also, if you push the backlight, and when it just fades out from the blue, you get a little tinge of red. So I just want to add and show that it is the same as on the other version. So while that is flashing, just remind me that there is a reminder. I can just press button A and it will come up with the message. And here it's telling me you're awesome. Not me, but you guys watching. So going into the World Time, here on this one, it's just got London. So how am I supposed to change that? Well, let me explain. I got this message from this subscriber here about 5 days ago, and his message reads, how do you set a user-defined city in the app? I did it before, but I can't remember now. So I didn't have a clue really what he meant. I thought he meant that the character count, but it seems that he was able to adjust this. So I started to investigate and we exchanged emails and started to talk a bit deeper about this. And his name is Chris. He doesn't mind being mentioned. And I have to say a huge thank you that you have spotted this and were able to tell me about it. So together we found out how to do it. So I'm going to show you a tutorial. And this you have to thank Chris. This is nothing to do with me. All you have to do is open up G-Shock Connected. It's very easy indeed. And then connect your G-Shock to the app. Remember, this works for both modules, okay? So I'm just going to show it on this one because I haven't done it before. So we're just getting a connection, and that is the window you'll come to. Then you come to time and place. You've got utility. So what we need is the World Time. I've got all these selected as London because I haven't set any, so it's just a matter of opening one up. And then you have this familiar screen here where you can just scroll around to the different time zones. Now, if I just went here to England, there is my location down there, and all I have is set at London. The window up here with the little world map. Now if you press that, it takes you to more detail, and this is where you can really zoom down. There is my location. Now if I just hold on to that for a few seconds and release, I now have the option to actually write in here anything I like. So let's just open it up, and you have your QWERTY keyboard. Well, that's how I've got it set. You can also have the numbers, and you can go back to the QWERTY, or you can have little symbols like so. So I could put a little @ sign. I can just randomly put anything I like. Let's go back to some numbers. We just put that in. So we have something a bit like this. You press done, then you press send to watch. Then that will communicate. It will come up with World Time is connected, and it says OK, World Time OK. So what I do now, back to the watch, I'm just gonna disconnect from that. Then when I go to the World Time, there it is. You can have up to 18 characters of anything you like, so you can have it exactly to your city. So once again, Chris, thank you so much for finding this out and for telling me so that I can show everyone else so they know that they have more features to play around with. Right, now we are at Weight Watchers and let's see how heavy you all are. And we know, Classy, being full stainless steel, you are going to be the heaviest, and you come in at 159 grams. I hope that makes you feel better, Chunky, because you just have the look of being chunky and not showing the weight at 88 grams. Next we have Sophisticated, and you are coming in at 81 grams. Now that was a pleasant surprise. So what are you going to come in at, Mr. Old? You are at 65. Time to retire. Next is Skinny. And the good reason why we call you Skinny is because you are only 48 grams. If you didn't know, the very first G-Shock, or this square, is the only one or the only series that is still being made today. Now that is telling you how successful that shape has become. And I really do hope this is giving you a little insight of a good variation of the square G-Shock, so you can have a little bit of more of an understanding of what is better for you. They all have their price differences and they all have their little quirks and functions, so there's plenty to choose from. So as always, that is the times. Thanks for watching. Unfortunately, this one is just a little bit too heavy to drop. You might actually go through my light box.